That little plastic remote in your pocket is doing about 10% of what it's actually capable of. Most Toyota owners use two buttons: lock, unlock. That's it. Meanwhile, the same fob can roll down every window on a hot day before you even open the door, start your engine from inside the house, find your car in a packed parking lot, and get you moving even when the battery inside it is completely dead. None of this is in a hidden menu. None of it costs money. It's all built into the fob you're already carrying. Toyota just buried it on page 94 of a manual nobody reads. And a few of these aren't just convenient. One of them can save you a $200 tow on the day your fob finally dies in a parking garage. Another one can stop your car from getting stolen out of your own driveway. So today, we're going through 9 key fob tricks every Toyota owner should be using. From the simple ones you'll start using tomorrow, to the emergency procedure you'll be very glad you learned before you needed it. Let's start with the one hiding in plain sight. Trick number 9, the window. Trick hiding in plain sight. Your Toyota's been sitting in a parking lot for 4 hours in full sun. You open the door and get hit with that wall of hot air that feels like opening an oven. Most people just accept that. Get in, start the car, blast the AC, sweat for 3 minutes while it catches up. You don't have to. Walk up to your Toyota and press unlock, then press it again and hold it down. Keep holding. 5, 6, 7 seconds. Every window in the car starts rolling down while you're still standing there. On a lot of models, the moonroof opens too. All that trapped hot air dumps out before you ever touch the door handle. By the time you sit down, the cabin's already 10, 15 degrees cooler, and your AC doesn't have to fight a losing battle for the first 5 minutes of the drive. And it works in reverse. Walked away and left a window down with rain coming? Press lock, hold it, and everything closes back up. No walking back to the car, no reaching through the door. Here's the part that trips people up. Hold it too briefly and nothing happens. That delay is deliberate. Toyota built it in so you can't roll your windows down by accident with the fob loose in your pocket. So commit to the hold. If nothing moves after 7 or 8 seconds, the feature just isn't switched on yet in your car's settings. It's a 2-minute enable, and any dealer will flip it on for free while you wait. Trick number 8. Your fob probably already has remote start. Ask most Toyota owners if their car has remote start, and you'll get the same answer. No, I didn't pay for that. A lot of them are wrong. If your fob has that little curved arrow, the one that looks like a circle chasing its own tail, remote start is already sitting in your hand. And even without that symbol, plenty of Toyotas with push-button start will do it off the lock button alone. Here's the sequence. Press lock once, press lock again. Then press it a third time and hold it for about 3 seconds. Watch the parking lights. When they flash and stay lit, the engine's running. That's it. No app, no subscription, no aftermarket box wired into your dash by a guy in a strip mall. Now the useful part, what it actually does while you're still inside. The climate system wakes up with it and runs whatever settings you left on. Heat in the morning means a defrosted windshield and no scraping. AC on a hot afternoon means the seats aren't burning your legs when you sit down. On a cold start, it's also circulating oil and bringing the engine up to temperature before you put any load on it, which your engine will quietly thank you for over about a decade. The car stays locked the whole time it's idling, and it shuts itself off after 10 minutes if you don't come out. Step on the brake without the fob in the cabin, and it kills the engine immediately. Nobody's driving off with it. One catch worth knowing: on most models, this only works if the car was locked with the fob, and it won't fire if the hood is open or a door is ajar. If yours refuses to start remotely, that's the first thing to check before you assume the feature isn't there. Trick number 7. The fob works with a dead battery. This is the one that turns a genuine emergency into a 30-second inconvenience. And almost nobody knows it until they're standing in a parking garage at night, pressing a button that does nothing. Your fob battery dies, doors won't unlock, car won't start. Feels like you're calling a tow truck. You're not. There are 2 things happening here, and they're separate. First, getting into the car, flip your fob over and find the small release. A slide, a button, or a little latch on the back. Push it and pull, and a real metal key slides out of the housing. Most owners have carried that key for years without ever knowing it was in there. Look at the driver's door handle. There's a keyhole under a plastic cap or hidden behind the handle itself. Pop the cap off with the key tip and you're in. The alarm may sound, that's normal. It stops once the car recognizes you. Second, actually starting it. Push-button start still works without a live fob battery because there's a passive transponder chip inside that needs no power at all. Press the brake, then take the fob and physically touch it to the start button. Logo side against the button, held there. The car's coil energizes the chip through contact. The dash accepts it and you press to start. Some models want you to touch the button with the fob and then press it. Either way it works. Drive straight to any store that sells watch batteries. It's a coin cell, usually a CR2032, and it costs about $3. 2 minutes with a small flathead and you've replaced it yourself. The part worth remembering, don't wait for it to die. When your dash starts flashing a low-key battery warning, that's your 2-week notice. Swap it that weekend instead of finding out the hard way at 11 at night. Trick number 6. The panic button is a tool, not an accident. Most people have only ever hit that red button by mistake, then fumbled to shut it off while the whole lot stared at them. Use it on purpose. Lost your car in a stadium lot or a 5-level garage? One press and it announces itself. Horn and lights from up to about 100 feet away. Beats walking rows, pressing unlock and squinting for a flash. The better use is at night. Walking to your car alone and something feels off? Hit it. Every head within a block turns toward the noise. And that attention is exactly what someone waiting near your car doesn't want. Press it again to shut it off or just start the engine. That kills it instantly. It won't drain your battery either. It stops on its own after about 30 seconds. Trick number 5. Double your fob's range with your own head. This one sounds like a joke until it saves you a walk. You're across a parking lot, you press unlock, nothing happens. Instead of walking closer, hold the fob against the underside of your chin or press it flat to your temple and press the button again. It works. Your body is mostly water, and water's a decent conductor at that frequency. Your skull acts like an extension of the antenna, and the signal reaches noticeably farther. People regularly get twice the distance out of it. Same idea with less weirdness. Hold the fob against a metal water bottle, or point it through a car window instead of over a row of parked cars. Metal and glass help. Concrete pillars and your own body blocking the line of sight hurt. Where it actually matters is a multi-level garage. Press it from the stairwell, hear the chirp, and you know which floor you left it on. Trick number 4. The button that opens the back without touching it. Arms full of groceries, standing at the back of your Toyota, doing that awkward shuffle where you try to free up one finger for the handle. There's a button for that, and holding it matters. On the fob, find the trunk or hatch symbol. A quick tap usually does nothing. That's the accident guard again. Press and hold it for about a second and the trunk pops. Or on an SUV, the power liftgate starts raising on its own while you're still walking up. 2 things most owners never discover about it. First, on power liftgate models, you can stop the gate mid-travel by pressing the button again, which is the difference between a clean open and putting a dent in the ceiling of a low garage. Second, most of those liftgates remember the height you stop at. Set it once for your garage and it opens to that same point every time after. And if your hands are truly full, a lot of newer models let you swing a foot under the rear bumper with the fob in your pocket. Same result, no fingers required. Trick number 3. Lock it without waking the neighborhood. Coming home late, the horn chirp echoes off every house on the street. Or you're at a hotel at 6 in the morning and your Toyota announces to the entire lot that you have arrived. You can turn that off. And there are 2 different ways depending on what you want. The quick one, instead of pressing lock once, press it twice in a row, quickly. Most Toyotas suppress the horn on the second press and confirm with a lights-only flash. Silent lock, and you still get visual proof it took. The permanent one lives in the fob itself. With the doors unlocked and closed, hold lock and unlock down together for about 5 seconds. The car chirps back, and the horn confirmation is now switched off for good. Same sequence turns it back on. Worth knowing the trade-off before you do it. With the chirp gone, you're relying on the light flash alone. Glance back once before you walk away, especially on the days you're carrying things, and press the button without looking. Trick number 2, turn off the feature thieves are actually using. If your Toyota unlocks just by having the fob in your pocket, that convenience has a cost. And it's the reason cars get stolen out of driveways without a scratch on them. The fob never stops transmitting. It's chirping out its signal while it sits on the hook by your front door. 2 people with a relay amplifier can stand one near the house and one near the car. Catch that signal and stretch it across the driveway. Your Toyota thinks the key is right there. Doors open, engine starts, and they're gone in under a minute. You can shut the fob up, hold the lock button down, and while still holding it, press unlock twice. Wait for the indicator to flash 4 times. That's smart entry disabled. The fob goes quiet and stops broadcasting until you wake it with a normal button press. Do that every night and there's nothing for anyone to amplify. Same effect if you'd rather not learn the sequence. Drop the fob in a metal tin or a signal blocking pouch by the door. The catch is you lose touch to unlock until you re-enable it, which is the same hold and press sequence again. Small price for the one theft method that needs no tools, no noise, and no broken glass. Trick number 1. The spare fob you should buy before you need it. Everything so far has been about using the fob you have. This one is about what happens the day you don't have it, and it's the most expensive mistake on this list. Lose your only fob and you're not just locked out. You're paying for a tow to the dealer because the car cannot be driven to them. Then you're paying for the fob itself, and then you're paying labor to program it, because a Toyota key fob is useless until the car's computer is told to accept it. People walk out of that appointment several $100s lighter, sometimes closer to $1,000, for a piece of plastic the size of a matchbook. Here's the part that changes the math completely. If you still have one working fob, adding a second is dramatically cheaper. And on a lot of Toyotas, you can do it yourself in your driveway. On many older models with a physical key, the whole thing is a sequence. Key in and out of the ignition a set number of times, door cycles, a specific pattern of presses, and the car drops into programming mode and accepts the new remote. No tools. A blank fob and a shell for it runs a fraction of the dealer price online, and a local locksmith who cuts and programs automotive keys will still beat the dealership by a wide margin. Push-button start models are stricter. Many of those need a scan tool to pair, so DIY is off the table. But an automotive locksmith can usually come to you and do it for well under what the dealer quotes. The move is simple. Find out today what your specific model and year needs, and get that second fob made while your first one still works. It costs a little now. It costs a lot the morning you're standing in a parking lot with nothing in your pocket. That's 9 tricks living inside a piece of plastic you've been carrying around for years. Start with the easy ones. Roll the windows down before you get in this week. Try the remote start sequence in your own driveway and find out whether you've had it all along. Those take 10 seconds each and you'll use them every day. Then do the 2 that actually protect you. Shut the fob signal off at night so nobody can relay it out of your driveway. And get that second fob made while your first one still works. Because the version of you standing in a parking lot with empty pockets is going to pay a lot more for it. Every Toyota is a little different by model and year, so if one of these didn't work on yours, drop a comment with your model and year, and I'll try to point you in the right direction. And if you know a fob trick that didn't make this list, put it down there too. That's usually where the best ones come from. This is all about Toyota, where we dig into the features, the maintenance, and the small details that keep these cars running longer than anything else on the road. If that's your kind of thing, stick around. There's plenty more where this came from. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.